no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go.
So what happens now? There's just two of us.
I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Logain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us. I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be two of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere. Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away. Such as they are. About the Grey Warden. What do you need? Ask away.
Teach me about Templars.
But I really would rather not. When the Grand Cleric let Duncan recruit me, she made me swear never to reveal Templar secrets outside of the Chantry. I'd rather not go back on my word.
The fuck is happening with the stream? Is it on? Fine.
Of course I do. It's just... I don't think you necessarily need Templar secrets to defeat the Darkspawn. Ask me later, perhaps. Maybe I'll change my mind. This is not something small you're asking, after all.
Now, how do we give gifts? I forgot. And where are gifts? Here.
No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it. No, bad. Bad.
It doesn't disapprove when I do it, which is great. How do I give it to a dog? I can't give it from here. Counts my body as a summon. Shit. Where is Morrigan?
What do you wish of me?
Let's discuss something personal. Let's ask you something.
If you must.
How do you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend. So I assume. My mother has walked the wilds far longer than I. Who am I to suggest what things she has done and not done in her past? Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Can you change the other human forms as well?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is.
Getting
I
better.
gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
Who? I believe it's Werglia. For now.
Anyone with sufficient will, but the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell and thus requires a mage's talents. Indeed, you could learn the spells required if I cared to teach you. There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
What do other animals think of you when you're changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask. No, 'tis not unheard of in the remote corners of the world. There are traditions of magic outside of the circle of magi, despite what those mages would have you believe. Some of these traditions are old, indeed, passed down as carefully guarded lore from one generation to the next. The zealots of the chantry would uproot all such practitioners if they could, but as luck have it, some still exist. My mother is such a one. Not all apostates use the forbidden blood arts. Maleficarum do, but condemn
Writing
all who
is
do
unique.
not fall under the
Has
circle
better
for
writing
the
than the
sake
rest of
what
Dragon
might
Age
be
games.
is a dangerous path to walk. There are those who look on the word apostate as meaning freedom.
It was done by Lord of the Rings books and Song of Ice and Fire books.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
Maybe tied to a flagpole and tickled.
I wouldn't advise it. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
Again approves.
What do you wish of me? If you must.
I've been hunted by the chant.
You are very cute to ask so many questions. Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers. So cute are we, too. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes. by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You really had no trouble with them?
I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
You actually killed them all?
Me? No, I never did any of the killing, until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
What exactly is an apostate?
You do not know. The Zealots use that word for any magic they do not control. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates.
Dragon Age, I like the list. Dragon Age 2, by far.
Evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
It was a stupid console port. A simplified version of RPG.
I will note that we only ever defended ourselves. But if they wish to come for us, certainly. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
Disapproves.
What do you wish of me? If you must. Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I? Beg pardon then while I jump for joy. What is it you asked? If I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness. Would you not do the same? Your world is an unforgiving and cold place. The wilds I hail from is home to me, and I a natural denizen. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for. Was I hurt? What manner of simpering weakling do you take me for? Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
What happened to the poor man?
Who cares? As I recall, he was executed. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting?
Like a handshake.
To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes. How to eat at a table. How to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again. Yes? Let's ignore the entire Darkspawn threat and the presence of a simpleton as your only other Grey Warden ally, then. Not that I lack appreciation for the intent of your comment. Thank you. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
And -1 into +2, whatever.
Yes? At times, perhaps. A world full of people and buildings and things was all very foreign to me. If I wished companionship, I ran with the wolves and flew with the birds. If I spoke, 'twas to the trees.
And the trees speak back.
Don't be foolish. I recall the first time I crept beyond the edge of the wilds. I did so in animal form, remaining in the shadows and watching these strange townsfolk from afar. I happened upon a noblewoman by her carriage, adorned in sparkling garments the likes of which I had never before seen. I was dazzled. This, to me, seemed what true wealth and beauty must be. I snuck up behind her and stole a hand mirror from the carriage. 'Twas encrusted in gold and crystalline gemstones, and I hugged it to my chest with delight as I sped back to the wilds.
What happened then?
Flemeth was furious with me. I was a child and had not yet come into my full power, and I had risked discovery for the sake of a pretty bauble. To teach me a lesson, Flemeth took the mirror and smashed it upon the ground. I was heartbroken.
I have a hard time picturing you heartbroken.
That is because I learned my lesson well. Beauty and love are fleeting and have no meaning. Survival has meaning. Power has meaning. Without those lessons, I would not be here today, as difficult as they might have been.
Made you stronger, didn't they?
They did indeed. To return to your original question, perhaps my time in the wilds was indeed lonely, but such was how it had to be. I find myself at times wondering what might have become of the girl with the beautiful golden mirror, but such fantasies have no place amidst reality. Yes? If you must.
Is Flemeth really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not?
I believe she was a dragon.
To be.
I forgot. I think she was a dragon or something like that.
You mean, is she truly the Flemeth of legend and story? Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
I'm more interested in the truth.
I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
Okay.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful. A fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Not true then.
No, quite true, but this part only. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conobar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife. And Osen agreed. The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conobar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
You mean demons?
Spirits first, and 'twas they who slew Conobar. Flemeth did not turn to the demon until much later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
She never invaded, or he never defeated her.
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
How did she survive for so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
The legend tells of Flemeth having many daughters.
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why would she refuse to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well. How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her. I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all. Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless. Nothing. I wish to know nothing more. I find myself a little envious, to tell the truth. But it matters not. Let us move on.
Regan approves +5.
Yes? If you must.
Can you teach others to become shape changers?
By others, do you mean yourself?
see any other mages about.
Then I shall teach you what I can whenever we are in camp, provided you have the will to even make the attempt, that is.
Specialization unlocked, shapeshifter. Morrigan disapproves. Why would she disapprove? Have we done it?
Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any.
That's all there is with Morrigan.
Yes? If you must. By others, do you mean yourself? Then I shall teach you what I can whenever we are in camp, provided you...
Specialization unlocked, shapeshifter. Okay. Who is left? Stan and Liliana. And that's it.
Yes. Well, here I am. I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell, and the darkness drew me in.
You dreamed the blight.
I suppose I did. That was what the darkness was, no? When I woke, I went to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rosebush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
Did you hear voices?
No, not voices. It's not so simple. He spoke directly to my soul, in a language no human tongue can express. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the Blight devours everything? That is why you're a Grey Warden. Come, there's a blight to stop. Yes? Well, here I am. Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my Chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose. When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
What do you say to them?
What can I say to them? What they believe is what the Chantry says, and the Chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
is wrong with my cats?
Yes? Well, here I am. What is meant by someone like me? And there were no beautiful, charming women in the cloisters, you think? You would be wrong. There were many lovely young initiates in the Lothering cloister, all of them chaste and virtuous. It added to their mystique, because then they were forbidden, and forbidden fruit is the sweeter, no?
What about your fruit? Is it forbidden? Yeah.
Flatterer. I, however, did not take vows, and so perhaps I am not as enigmatic? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Affirmed.
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the Chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken.
So your skills were learned before your time in the Chantry?
I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Codex updated. Anything else?
Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? My mother was from Denerim, and I consider myself a Ferelden. Mother served an Orlesian noblewoman who lived here when Orlais ruled. When Orlais was defeated and the common folk began to resent the presence of any Orlesian, the lady returned to Orlais. She took my mother with her. I was born in Orlais and did not set foot in Ferelden till much later. Mother was always telling me stories of her homeland. I think she missed it. Mother died when I was very young. Lady Cecily let me stay with her. I had no one else. She was quite old then, and she had me study music and dance to entertain her. It is unfair that I have more memories of Cecily than my mother. She was an elderly lady, very refined and proper. She had impeccable manners and taste, more so than a lot of Orlesian ladies. Cecily was also kind. My mother was unmarried and with child. It was scandalous, and Cecily had every right to turn my mother out. She didn't. Strangely, the only thing I really remember of Mother was her scent. She kept dried flowers in her closet amongst her clothes. Small white Ferelden wildflowers with a sweet fragrance. Mother called them Andraste's Grace. They were very rare in Orlais. But enough about that. Let us move on.
What is neutral? It's 3 plus 10. Neutral.
Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Tell me about the Darkspawn.
Chantry law says it is man's pride that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, They invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin. And it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris. Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Orlais. A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield the sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot. Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the grand tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the grand tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered. Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the grand melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Was hoping for a happy ending.
The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Aveline's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Orlais so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Any Ferelden legends?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of
Same as today, Werglia, same as today. And I will. From now on, I'll probably stream every day. Because my cat is a bit better and I have a bit more free time. Flamet. I met Flamet.
Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists?
She looked like your average old woman.
Well, if Flemeth really exists, she would be very, very old indeed. Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Tell me the whole story.
Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing, she practiced her art. And then one day, a young poet named Osen came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love. Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her.
That's
But
not the
when
same
Flemeth
story
and
as
Osen
Morrigan
entered
told.
Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes.
That's not what Morrigan
Flemeth was
said.
imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men. The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many Chasing men, and with their help, begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
No. Those stories are not the same.
Which one?
Anything about daily shells?
I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in a land of their own. The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish. Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved, and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker. Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own. She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hessarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathos, the capital of Tevinter.
Why did the Maker not save her with his power?
I have thought on this too. Did he withdraw his sight from her at that moment? Where were all the powers he bestowed upon her? This question has come to me many times, and I have no answer. Perhaps there was no way for Andraste to return to the Maker but through her death. We will never know for sure.
I guess that's it.
Yes?
There shouldn't be
Something
anything
you need?
else.
Yes? What's on your mind?
Heard that in Orlais, minstrels are often spies.
Where did you hear this?
Someone told me a long time ago.
And you believe everything you hear? Not all minstrels are spies. Most are just singers and storytellers. But some of them are what we call bards.
What's the difference?
Many use the two words minstrel and bard interchangeably, but to do so in Orlais would cause misunderstanding. Bards are minstrels and more. Spies, as you say. Some say there is a bard order, but I don't think this is true. Many bards work alone or in small groups, doing the bidding of a patron who pays for their services. If there is an organization behind it all, no one knows who they are.
What sort of services does a bard offer?
What do you think? They infiltrate, steal, sometimes assassinate? It depends on the bard. In Orlais, there is much rivalry amongst the Highborn. They fight over land, influence, and the favor of the Empress.
Valergia, good
But
night.
they could not do this openly because it is impolite.
See you
And in
tomorrow,
public,
Valergia.
they wear smiling faces and pretend to be civil. In secret, they plot and scheme to destroy each other. It is a game completely meaningless to anyone but its players.
And yet you're not just some innocent sister.
I have revealed too much, it seems. But it doesn't matter what I used to be. It is the past.
That's where you learn to fight like that.
My skills served me well. But the day finally came when I decided to just put them aside. I found myself in Ferelden and sheltered from bad weather in the Chantry. And when the storm passed, I just did not want to leave. I like to see the Maker brought me here. Yes? Something you need?
Can you teach me to be a bard?
I don't think you have the correct aptitude. I could give you some pointers, though. You may be able to pass them on to someone you know. Let's just go over there, away from the others. For safety, yes? I expect there shall be daggers flying about willy-nilly for a time.
Specialization unlocked, bard.
Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? I miss Valroyaux. Unlike other cities where the people are the lifeblood and the character, Valroyaux was her own person, and her people little more than decorations. There was always music in Valroyaux, streaming from the many windows, quiet refrains and triumphant choruses, and always, floating above that all, the chant, coming from the Grand Cathedral. It was magnificent. Oh, it would take me a day or two to talk about the many splendors of Orlais, her golden fields, her lush meadows. Of course, there are good things and bad things about Orlais, like anywhere else. Sometimes I miss it dearly, and sometimes I'm glad I'm rid of it. And you will laugh at this, but I miss the fine things I had in Orlais.
What sort of things?
Dresses, fine dresses and furs, and shoes, of course. One can't mingle with nobility with bad shoes, you see. Orlais is very fashionable, almost ridiculously so. But the shoes, living with those ridiculous trends was worth it for the shoes.
Shoes are shoes, they're there to keep your feet dry. That's what I think in life, though. Ooh, I love shoes.
When I left Orlais, the fashion was shoes with delicate tapered heels and embellishments in the front. A ribbon, perhaps, or embroidery.
Oh,
In
no.
soft colors, of course. It was spring. Never mind. I just have a weakness for pretty shoes. It is so frivolous of me, I know. Oh, I could talk about shoes all day, but we have things to do, don't we?
We got a stash here. We're done with Liliana. There's only Stan remaining. How come they haven't added a bloody stash? I'm bloody full with gifts. See if we can give those gifts for the start. Start with Alistar.
No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it. No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it. No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it.
Alistar's dome.
No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it.
What do you mean awful? Aren't you supposed to accept your doll?
No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it. No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it.
Grey Warden Hen Puppet.
I could get used to this, you know.
Plus 50. And you're still neutral.
No, bad.
You don't want
Bad
King
idea.
Marek's shield.
Awful. Don't do it.
Sort this shit by type. Dog whistle. Alistair can play with his puppet. It's accompanying toy horse.
No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it. No, bad. Bad idea. Awful. Don't do it.
Next.
A terrible notion. I am.
Because you're a witch, you want Alistar
though.
doll.
A terrible notion. A terrible notion.
The comet appeared again. Moderate constitution inspired. Moderate magic. What the fuck? Party member gain a minor bonus to magic. Moderate bonus to magic. Aha! What about Liliana? Amulet of memories.
No, that won't work. No, that won't work. No, that won't work.
Loot.
No, that won't work.
Minor cunning. Moderate cunning. Stan. Morrigan can amuse herself by inflicting indignities on the Alistar doll. Master can play with his puppet and its accompanying toy horse.
Unwise. I am impressed. My
Kunari.
thanks. Unwise. Unwise.
Minor strength. Moderate strength. He's got more gifts over there.
You and your friends are formidable folk, indeed.
Shut
It's
up.
good to have you along on the road. I'm sure you'll...
Thoughtful gift. Cup of charcoal. Rotten onion. Pigeon. Chastity belt. Should be for Liliana. Hobble stick for Morrigan. Butterfly sword for Alistar, maybe. If I drag them over here, I can't bring them back. Ugly boots. Protective coal. Brandy. Man, I don't know. I need to test this shit to see how it works. I need to speak with Stan now.
You are not quite as callow as I thought. That is unexpected.
What is that supposed to mean?
Callow? It is a word in your tongue. It means without feathers, as a new-hatched bird.
I know what the word means.
Then why ask?
I think I was color.
You probably give most people that impression. You'll get over it, eventually.
Where do you come to, Ferelden?
I was sent to be the eyes of the Antam. The Arishok asked, "What is the Blight?" By his curiosity, I am now here.
What's an Arishok?
The one who commands the Antam, the body of the Kunari.
He's your king.
Kunari have no kings.
What do you have then?
Little patience for endless questions.
Nah. Why would the Kunari care about the Blight?
Why do you?
Jesus Christ, man. I'm a Grey Warden, it's my job.
Exactly. You don't ask, nor do I. The Arishok sends me and I go.
Did you find the answer to his question?
A portion of it.
So what's the answer?
Were you not at Ostagar when the army was overwhelmed? That is your answer.
Why would the Kunari care about the Blight?
Why do you?
Oh my god!
So if this blight were in Orlais, it could consume the land with impunity. Don't strain yourself pondering that. I do not know why the Arishok sent us. He commands and I go.
Do you have to report back then?
Yes.
When are you going to do that?
Never. I cannot go home.
Why?
It doesn't matter now. Can we move on? We keep the Darkspawn waiting.
What were you doing in the cage?
Does it matter? Very well. I caged myself. A weak mind is a deadly foe, as you are no doubt aware.
A weak mind?
That is complicated. I came to your lands with 7 of the Beresad, my brothers, to seek answers about the Blight. We made our way across the Ferelden countryside without incident, seeing nothing of the threat we were sent to observe. Until the night we camped by Lake Calenhad. They came from everywhere. The earth beneath our feet, the air above us. Our own shadows harbored the Darkspawn. I saw the last of the creatures cut down, too late. I fell.
What happened to the other Kunari?
I am told no others survived. I don't know how long I lay on the battlefield among the dead, nor do I know how the farmers found me. I only know that when I woke I was no longer among my brothers, and my sword was gone from my hand.
What did you do?
I searched for it, and when that failed I asked my rescuers what had become of it.
And?
I killed them. With my bare hands. I did. I knew they didn't have the blade. They had no reason to lie to me. I panicked. Unthinking, I struck them down.
You panicked over a lost blade.
That sword was made for my hand alone. I have carried it from the day I was set into the Beresad. I was to die wielding it for my people. Even if I could cross Ferelden and Neverwinter unarmed and alone to bring my report to the Arishok, I would be slain on sight by the Antam. They would know me as soulless, a deserter. No soldier would cast aside his blade while he drew breath.
Couldn't you search for it?
If I knew where to look, it would be in my hand now.
Where you find the Darkspawn?
Near Lake Calenhad.
We'll find it.
Perhaps those words are empty, but thank you all the same.
Quest. Moderate strength. Stand approved. Skill acquired. What else do you got?
Why are we stopping? There are Darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful?
What's your hurry?
What a strange language you speak. You say hurry, where I would say duty.
Tell me about Kunari.
No.
What? No, why not?
People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of, the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty.
You said you were in the army.
I am.
You ever fought in war?
I have always fought in war, human.
What do you mean by that?
My people have been at war since the moment we set foot in the Northern Islands.
Have you tried diplomacy? Nah, that's a bad question. So the Kunari don't come from the islands.
We do now.
Where did you come from before?
Somewhere else.
Jesus Christ, man. Be more specific.
No. I was born in Seheron. Of the land we came from, I know nothing, not even its name. I do not see how this matters. Seheron and Parvolan are distant. Ferelden and the Darkspawn are immediate.
Are you alright?
You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight.
Fine.
As you wish.
Then he's fucking hilarious.
You called. I am hardly surprised. To put it lightly, No one has a place here. Your farmers wish to be merchants. The merchants dream of being nobles, and the nobles become warriors. No one is content to be who they are.
Is there anything you like about Ferelden?
There is interesting food here. You have a thing. It doesn't have a word in the Kunari tongue. Little baked things like bread, but sweet and crumbly.
Ah, that's what you want. Cookies.
Yes, we have no such things in our lands. This should be remedied. What does that accomplish? The farmer who buys a shop is never a merchant. He is always a farmer turned merchant. He carries his old life with him as a turtle carries its shell.
But that makes the turtle stronger.
Does it? It's also his weakness. If he stumbles and falls over, it pins him on his back. It is better to armor yourself with no more than what you need. One life, one duty. You can learn to find it in doing your duty, in serving your people. There is no need to search for it. Shall we move on? Perhaps. It's strange to be in a crowd and hear a language that is not your own. To see faces that are and aren't like yours. I miss the smells of Saheron. Tea and incense and the sea. Ferelden smells of wet dogs.
Dogs don't smell that bad.
Skunks don't mind the smell of other skunks either. Shall we move on?
Nah.
Speak, then. Then I suggest we move on. I am hardly surprised.
There is nothing else left with him.
As you wish.
I'll check once more. I think I've seen a cookie here. Codex updated. There's 10. Here. Come on.
If there's anything I could...
See where's the cookie? Sugar cake. A gift. 50 of them. Get one. And now let's see if that works. Sugar cake.
You have my thanks.
It's +5. So it costs.
You called.
Will you tell me how you were caged?
I caged myself. A weak mind is a deadly foe, as you are no doubt aware.
What happened?
I came to your lands with 7 of the Beresad, my brothers, to seek and
You already said
made
that.
our way across.
You already said
until
that.
the
And
night
that.
came from everywhere. The earth beneath.
Yeah.
I saw the last of the creatures cut down. Too late.
Okay.
I fell. I heard the stories of Ostagar. Your kith stood their ground when others fled. No one can do more than that. I don't know how long I lay on the battlefield among the...
Yeah, you said
I
it.
only know that when I woke, I was no longer among my brothers. And
About the sword.
I searched for it.
Fine.
And when I
Fine.
did, I knew they didn't have the... I know I can... That... They would know me as soulless, a deserter. No soldier would cast aside his blade. If I knew where to look, it would be in my hand now. Near Lake Callanhead.
Okay, nothing else with Stan. But it's a bit broken, because you can keep getting... Whatever. I think we're bloody done. 63 out of 90. Hey, increases monetary gain. We do that. Defense. Spirit resist, get defense. Get that. Dog. Do we got something for you or not? Those watercolors, what do you use? Shit, I can't mark it over here. What if I use a dog whistle? Can I use the ability here? Motherfucker. I need to check that mod, see how to access the dog. Let's see what opened. Okay, one major save. Was done. Spoke to everyone here. Level 8, level 7, level 7, 7. So how the fuck are you level 8?
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. Of all the...
Yes. Vashaden.
Indeed.
I can pick between Alistar and Sten. Sten is also fun, goddammit. But I need a rogue to unlock chests. Morrigan is fun. I should switch them. Holy shit, the fuck opened here. Flamet's Hut. Ostagar. Curry Wilds. Outskirts. Lottering. Redcliffe Village. Docks. Soldier Pass is premium. Denerim. Soldier's Peak. Not even sure what I wanna do. Locate Stan's sword. But I need gear for him, I don't have gear for him. Sikar Lehman, blah blah blah. Redcliffe. Soldier Pass.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Yes.
I'll pick Redcliffe.
Look, can we talk for a moment? I need to tell you something. I should probably have told you earlier.
Let me guess, you're an idiot. Not gonna like it, am I?
I don't know. I doubt it. I've never liked it, that's for sure. I told you before how Al Eamon raised me, right? That my mother was a serving girl at the castle and he took me in. The reason he did that was because, well, because my father was King Marek, which made Kaelin my half-brother, I suppose.
Doesn't that make you the heir to the throne?
Maker's breath, I hope not. I don't think so. You don't think so, do you? I'm a bastard. And nobody even knows about me. I would have told you, but it never really meant anything to me. I was inconvenient, a possible threat to Kaelin's rule, and so they kept me secret. I'd never talked about it to anyone. Everyone who knew either resented me for it or they coddled me. Even Duncan kept me out of the fighting because of it. I didn't want you to know as long as possible. I'm sorry.
Does Loghain know?
Why wouldn't he? He was King Marek's best friend. I don't know if that means anything, though. I certainly never considered the idea that it might ever be important. At any rate, that's it. That's what I had to tell you. I thought you should know about it. Let's hope not. I'm the son of a commoner and a Grey Warden to boot. It was made very clear to me early on that there was no room for me raising any rebellions or such nonsense. And that's fine by me. Now, if there's an heir to be found, it's Arl Eamon himself. He's not of royal blood, but he is Kaelin's uncle, and more importantly, very popular with the people. Though, if he's really as sick as we've heard, oh no, I don't want to think about that. I really don't. So there you have it. Now can we move on? And I'll just pretend you still think I'm some nobody who was too lucky to die with the rest of the Grey Wardens.
As you command, my prince.
Oh, lovely. I'm going to regret this. Somehow I just know it.
Alright. Codex Redcliffe. And Alistar. No, it was already Redcliffe. Fine.
I thought I saw travelers coming down the road, though I scarcely believed it. Have you come to help us?
Is there a problem?
So you don't know? Has nobody out there heard?
There's a civil war going on, if you haven't noticed.
We heard news about the king and all the fighting. That was before everything started here. We're under attack. Monsters come out of the castle every night and attack us until dawn. Everyone's been fighting and dying.
Apparently everyone seems to agree that a blight is the perfect time to start killing each other. Marvelous, Riedel.
We've no army to defend us. No Arl and no king to send us help. So many are dead. And those left are terrified they're next.
Hold on, what is this evil that's attacking you?
I don't rightly know. I'm sorry, nobody does. I should take you to Ban Tegan. He's all that's holding us together. He'll want to see you.
Ban Tegan, Arl Eamon's brother. He's here.
Yes. It's not far, if you'll come with me.
It's Thomas, yes? And who are these people with you? They're obviously not simple travelers.
No, my lord. They just arrived, and I thought you would want to see them.
Well done, Thomas. Greetings, friends. My name is Tegan, Ban of Rainersphere, brother to the Arl.
I remember you, Ban Tegan. Though the last time we met, I was a lot younger and covered in mud.
Covered in mud? Alistair. It is you, isn't it? You're alive! This is wonderful news.
Still alive, yes. Though not for long if Ten Loghain has anything to say about it.
Indeed. Loghain would have us believe all Grey Wardens died along with my nephew, amongst other things.
You don't believe Loghain's lies?
What, that he pulled his men in order to save them? That Cailan risked everything in the name of glory? Hardly. Loghain calls the Grey Wardens traitors, murderers of the king. I don't believe it. It is an act of a desperate man. So you are a Grey Warden as well. A pleasure to meet you. I wish it were under better circumstances. You're here to see my brother. Unfortunately, that might be a problem. Eamon is gravely ill. No one has heard from the castle in days. No guards patrol the walls, and no one has responded to my shouts. The attack started a few nights ago. Evil things surged from the castle. We drove them back, but many perished during the assault.
What evil things?
Some call them the Walking Dead. Decomposing corpses, returning to life with a hunger for human flesh. They hit again the next night. Each night they come, with greater numbers. With Cailan dead and Loghain starting a war over the throne, no one responds to my urgent calls for help. I have a feeling tonight's assault will be the worst yet. Alistair, I hate to ask, but I desperately need the help of you and your friends.
It isn't just up to me. Though the Grey Wardens don't stand much chance against Loghain without Arl Eamon.
How pointless to help these villagers fight an impossible battle. One would think we had enough to contend with elsewhere.
Thank you. Thank you. This means more to me than you can guess. Thomas, please tell Murdoch what transpired. Then return to your post.
Yes, my lord.
Now then, there is much to do before night falls. I put 2 men in charge of the defense outside. Murdoch, the village mayor, is outside the chantry. Sir Perth, one of Eamon's knights, is just up the cliff at the windmill, watching the castle. You may discuss with them the preparations for the coming battle.
Discuss the situation with you.
Of course. I have those few who returned from their quest. You know of this, yes?
The search for the urn of sacred ashes.
Yes, I question Isolde's decision to send so many knights in search of this relic. But I am a practical man, whereas she is a woman of great faith. Sir Perth was one of the knights sent on this quest. Perhaps you should speak to him if you wish to learn more. Sir Perth insists. He wants me to be with the villagers, so everyone he needs to protect is in one place. I don't mind, to be honest. The point of all this is to protect the villagers, and I can do that best here. This is the last line of defense, should things go amiss. Should the monsters find their way in. I would prefer not to fight in the chantry, but if they come, then so must it be. We could bring some men in to stand beside me, but I'd rather keep the monsters away from the villagers if possible.
What exactly are the things that attack the village?
I do not know. They seem to be walking corpses, men with rotting flesh that continue to attack even with the gravest injuries.
Undead? Spirits possessing the dead. There could be several causes behind such a thing, none of them pleasant.
Hopefully we can find the source and stop it before it causes any more damage. With luck, we'll also find Eamon and be able to help him. Very well. Luck be with you, my friend.
Morrigan disapproves. -5. Great.
What do you need? There is not much daylight left. This is hardly the time to be discussing personal details, don't you think? We will have to fight for our lives very shortly. I do not mean to be rude, but let's focus on preparing for the battle instead.
Fucking persuasion needs to be on too.
Very well. Luck be with you, my friend.
Let us pray.
Blessed art thou who exists in the Maker's sight. Blessed art thou who seeks his forgiveness. Blessed art thou who seeks his return.
Commandments of the Maker.
Blessed is the prophetess, his daughter. You are a stranger amongst us, and a mage, I see. Yet you still defend our home in its darkest hour. We are grateful.
Cannot stand by while monsters attack the helpless.
Not many in these modern days would honestly say the same. You are a man of worth, and the Maker will smile upon you. Allow me to introduce myself. I am revered Mother Hannah, head of this chantry, which for the moment is a place of refuge for these poor villagers.
How awful this must be for you all. Is this everyone who's left?
All those who cannot defend themselves, yes. They are terrified of tonight's attack, and I fear these walls will not keep them safe. What can I do to help with your task?
How safe is the chantry?
It is the sturdiest building in the village. The women, elderly, and children will stay here during the battle, while the militia and knights protect them. They set up a barricade outside the chantry to keep monsters from getting inside. If anything gets in, Ban Tegan is our only defense. Please, have mercy. Help these people. Do whatever you can.
I would like a blessing.
Of course, child. Blessed art thou who exists in the Maker's sight. Blessed art thou who seeks his forgiveness. Blessed art thou who...
And the dog is scratching.
Blessed is the prophetess, his daughter, sacrificed to the holy flame. May the chant reach the Maker's ears and tell him of our contrition.
When will they be back? I
They're all fucking funny.
Brave young man. Parents would want that. We need... I fear most for the children.
I'm not frightened.
They are so frightened.
Everybody thinks
It
I
breaks
am.
my heart.
I'm scared, Mother. When are the bad men coming? Soon, darling.
Demonic possession.
Everything will be...
Why do demons seek to possess the living? Any demon will seek to possess a mage. Upon doing so, will create an abomination. The weakest and most common of demons are those of rage. They're the least intelligent, most prone to violent outbursts against anything living. Most powerful of rages can generate fire. Next are the demons of hunger. They become cannibals and vampires. They feed upon the living. They are the powers of draining both of life force and of mana. Demons of sloth. The demon is known as Shade. It hides and stalks unaware, and when confronted it shows fatigue and apathy. Demons of desire. Amongst the most powerful. They seek the living, actively trick them into a deal. Wealth, power, lust. Strongest of all demons are those of pride. These are the most feared creatures to loose upon the world. They only seek to possess mages. A greater pride demon brought across the veil would threaten the entire world.
Be alright. I want to go home. Where's Father?
Good day.
Why can't we go home? I already told you. Father is
I'm so scared, Father. What are we going to do?
We must stay here and be brave. Can you do that? I...
Tell us killing there. The current age was not supposed to be Dragon Age, it was supposed to be the Sun Age. Imagine the game title as Sun Age. Sun Age Origins. High Dragon decimated the countryside in search for food. And they declared the Dragon Age because of that. Alright.
You're a Grey Warden, right? Were you in Ostagar? In the Korkari Wilds? My husband and son went there to bring the Chant of Light to the Chastened. But I haven't heard from them since.
You Jetta.
I am. You've heard of me?
Your husband and son are both dead.
I thought that might be the case. Thank you for telling me.
I have something here from your husband.
Oh? Oh, his lockbox. If you're bringing me this... Oh no, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for bringing this to me. It means a lot to... Maker's blessings upon you.
Quest completed. Anything else with Jetta, or is that it?
These are terrible times. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry. Am I bothering you? I'll try to be more quiet.
You're not bothering me.
I shouldn't be such a crybaby. With Mother gone now, I have to be brave. I can't help myself. I'm so frightened. Those things dragged my mother away. I don't know what happened to her, but I hear her screaming all the time. Everywhere.
How terrible. You poor thing. I wish there was something we could do to help.
And now my brother Bevan, he ran off. I don't know where he is. I'm so scared they got him too.
Why would he run off, do you know?
He said something about saving Mother. He's just a little boy. He doesn't understand she's gone.
If he has foolishly run off, then he is no doubt dead. You should get used to that fact.
Nice. Maybe you want to kick her in the head while you're at it.
Shall we comfort her with lies? If she is to face death, better she face it honestly.
I hope he didn't try to go to the castle. Oh, that would be awful.
Have you tried looking for your brother?
I went to our house. It's by the square.
Good,
he wasn't
good.
there. I searched the rest of the village too.
I've spent the last
And I called,
3-4
but he
hours
never
in
answered.
conversations on that.
I wonder if he ran off into the woods. I'm so worried. Without me, he has nobody. I understand, I do. I'm just so afraid for him.
You quest a missing child.
Please, if you see my brother, send him back here. You will.
Liana approves. There is nothing else. Innocentry. At least I hope so. We can't go there. Don't I have a collar for you due to Constitution? I bought a collar for you.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice.
I'm quite sure I had a collar. 62 armor or something like that. Bloody bullshit. All right.
You know, we don't have the men we need.
What's the time? It's nearly 3 AM. Guys, that's gonna be it for today. We're gonna continue tomorrow. Because I'm bloody dead tired. People, I wish you all good night and I thank you all for watching. Tomorrow, same time as today, I might even start a bit earlier. Then I started around 10. I'll probably start around 8, something like that. So it's gonna be like 2 hours more on top of this. 5 hours for today was enough. I'm dead bloody tired. I got some things to do early in the morning. So, good night guys, and thanks for watching.